What's up everybody, we're back with another raid guide, and today we're taking a look at the Hungering Destroyer on Mythic difficulty. I'll be going over most of the mechanics, how to deal with them, and our overall tactic for this fight. So for this encounter you want 2 tanks, 5 healers and 13 DPS. Having access to Roars and Windrush as well as Spirit Link helps a ton during this encounter, and a Disc Priest or 2 doesn't hurt either. The big new annoyance here is the addition to the leech mechanic that is Gluttonous Miasma. On Mythic, when you share your health with a leechy boy, you now get a debuff called Essence Sap. Increases damage taken by Gluttonous Miasma's tick by 10% per stack, and it lasts for 20 seconds. This means you can't just always share your health, or eventually you'll just get wrecked by Miasma. Other than that, everything smacks a lot harder and is just a lot more punishing to deal with. Before we start, let's talk marks. Cue the picture! We tank boss on Skull Mark and have star, circle, purple and green raid marks around the boss in a square formation. Squares are superior. We assigned 5 players per mark to each deal with 1 Miasma. Got Miasma? Got a green mark over your head? Run to green mark. Raid leaders, make sure to turn on Miasma marking on your boss mod, so players get marked if they get it. I also recommend 2 weak auras for this, I will link them in the description below. One tracks what player has what mark and his current health. The other spams chat with your current mark as well as current percentage of HP. Now these weak auras helped us a lot, just like checking me out on Twitch will help me a lot, Stankie Gaming. Now before we break down the fight, let's talk more Miasma. Due to the aforementioned Essence Sap debuff, you need to rotate when you soak and how much, and find some moments to reset it completely. That's why the weak auras help. If you're assigned to green mark and the green marked Miasma player is spamming that they're at 100% HP, don't soak, you just get stacks for nothing. We aim to always have Miasma targets above 50% to survive Desolation, and you of course want to keep soaking a bit after as well. We aim to have Miasma targets on as high HP as possible before Expunge, since everyone is spread out after it. If the target is low following Expunge, they will probably die as they're moving back to boss. I've also heard that a lot of guilds use 2 Disc Priests with Spirit Shell to get a ton of absorbs up on Miasma targets before every Desolation or before every Expunge, either works, which will drastically lower leech requirement on Miasma targets, but nothing that's mandatory. We did it with 1 Disc Priest, but something to keep in mind if you have the setup for it. Anyways, let's break down the fight a bit. On pull, drag boss to skull and Miasma targets, find your marks. Players targeted by volatile ejections, aim these away from the marks or between them. During Expunge, go out of your way to place these far away, preferably along the walls if you can, and aim to keep it clear between boss and entrance since you'll be running there during consume. Use immunes to clear orbs if needed. Tanks, make sure to swap after every overwhelm and make sure to have a cooldown or personal for Expunge. And again, don't AFK soak Miasmas if they're close to full health. Make sure they're above 50% for first Desolation. Following this, you get new Miasma targets and Expunge. Make sure to soak the new targets as much as possible before Expunge and immediately after if they're low. Go back to marks, then wait for Miasma swap into Desolation. Make sure that they're leeched above 50% before, and keep soaking after to top them before your second Expunge if needed. Following this, 1 Miasma swap, then consume. A few seconds before boss starts casting consume, your tank needs to pull boss straight back a bit, which will make the draw-in effect a bit easier to deal with. At the same time, you want your 4 current Miasma targets to start moving to the back of the room, and when consume starts to cast, the rest of the raid starts running back towards the entrance. We do this to allow the raid to drop all Essence Sap debuffs during this, and to ensure this, it's very important that the 4 Miasma targets run a bit of ahead of time so they don't bump into anyone and refresh their stacks. Everyone except the Miasma target stacked up on a raid mark, and we used things like Spirit Link and Barrier to survive the damage, as well as to keep our Miasma boys alive. Keep in mind that 1 or 2 seconds before consume is done, Miasma will swap. So we did a countdown spread here to minimize the chance of refreshing the dot. 3, 2, 1, spread. then move back to marks. And after this, it's pretty much rinse repeat following the first consume. Drag boss back to skull, miasma targets and soakers to their marks, and all timings are roughly the same between consumes. One thing that helped us was simply calling out miasma swaps and desolations, as well as any miasma targets that needed extra love. Tanks can help out with this, for example, at least the non-active one. Desolation Ink in 5, green mark needs more love, or help yellow mark before desolation. Anything like that, just as a reminder, helped a ton. And I think that's pretty much it. All in all, once you get a hang of the ebb and flow, how much health your miasma targets needs to be on the safe side, and how to deal with consume so you don't die or refresh essence sap. After that, it starts to click pretty fast, and as soon as we managed to deal with our first consume cleanly-ish, it only took a handful of pulls to get it down after. Now, if you have any questions at all about this encounter, hit me up in the comments or become a patron. As a patron, you get access to the Stankie Discord, where you can find raid week auras, healing notes, raid assignments, and all that good stuff. Don't forget the usual stuff though, like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. I'm also streaming all of our progression on Twitch, so make sure to check that out. It's Mondays and Tuesdays. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.